I still hate the fact they changed the name because it used to be.
It sounds like the Charlie Brown type of thing. So,
Man. Anyway, this isn't a Charlie Brown podcast. What kind of podcast are we doing again?
oh, I think we're doing some sort of games that make people hungry and
Mm.
stuff. And
Is it man versus food, right? That one?
yeah, Man versus Food, like Impractical Jokers edition. Just that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh my god. We used to watch that show. My family and I used to watch Man versus Food when it was on with what's his name, Adam, all the time, but now it's not the same since he can't do it anymore because of health reasons.
Yep,
Anyway.
that's what happens sometimes.
But anyway, hello everyone. I promise this is Bookish Babbles, the podcast where we sometimes talk about our favorite books, reread them, and chat about them. I don't know my own intro anymore because everything's been in chaos mode. It's fine. But I told you guys last time I did a random episode. The next episode would be us talking about the Mockingjay Part 1 movie, and I delivered 2 weeks later, but I still delivered. It's fine because turns
it's
out
fine. The world is in chaos. You had excuses. It's okay.
It turns out when there isn't a pandemic keeping everyone locked in their homes, it's hard to get adults together to do anything.
That's so true. I mean, that's what it's all about.
But anyway, anyone who's listened to previous episodes, this is Patrick. You know him from the other
Hello. Hello, other people who are listening to this podcast who are amazing individuals. And
yeah. I'm drinking tea right now. Am I a content creator yet?
Yes, you are. You are a content creator officially.
Because I swear,
in fact, I think there's a badge that just came in for you. So,
thank you.
You're an official content creator.
Yay!
And I'm eventually gonna be like the top fan of the
content. My favorite job that I don't get paid for. Anyway,
it's what it is.
What was I saying? Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about before we officially get started. But speaking of Hunger Games movies, the Battle of Songbirds and Snakes trailer dropped this week.
Y'all.
Oh man! So this is how I found out about this, guys, and I'm not kidding. I had no clue that the trailer was going to drop. Was it last Thursday? I was having a very shitty day at work to the point, and then I'm like, okay, after work, I had to go for a long walk to calm down. Thankfully, there's a bike trail in my town, so I drove to that and took a walk along it. It was along the ocean, so it was nice. And while I was walking, I'm like, okay, I should really plan to record something this weekend for the Mockingjay movie. And I called Patrick, and poor Patrick had the first thing he heard was, "I'm going to strangle so and so from inspections at work." And he's like,
I was like, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Like, and I'm like, sorry, I had a long day. Where he's like, oh, okay.
Like, I understand.
Yeah.
What it is.
And then we made plans, and then as I was walking back to my car, I see a notification from Patrick, and I see it's a link to a YouTube video. I didn't think anything of it. I thought you were sending me like a meme or something. I'm like, I'll look at it when I get in my car.
Well, I mean, the trailer is a meme, so you need to think about it.
But it wasn't yet. Because when I watched it, it only dropped like 40 minutes ago. So then I get in my car and I'm about to drive home, and then I looked at my phone closer, and I realized what Patrick had sent me, and then I screamed, and then Sarah called to check in on me, and when I answered the phone, there was just screaming on the other end from me.
It's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Ah!"
Pretty much.
Yeah,
just me screaming nonsensical phrases. But okay, Patrick, you as someone who hasn't read the book, what were your impressions on the trailer? I'm curious.
It looks so good, man. I mean, the writing and the acting already. I'm just already so hooked on like what they're gonna do, like for the prequel story of Lucy Gray and President Snow, which is, I think it's before he was president.
Oh yeah, well before.
Like long time ago.
maybe not long time because I don't know. Finnick says like such a young man when he rose to power, such a clever one to keep it. So in my mind, like the way I've always interpreted, Snow was like maybe in his mid to late 20s by the time he becomes president because he holds on to that power for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically so it's basically just gonna be like a prequel. Is it gonna be a prequel franchise?
There's only this one
Power,
book. There's only this one book, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I don't. There's been rumors and speculation that Suzanne Collins might write more, and I wouldn't mind because of the
yeah,
way Ballad ended, and I obviously won't spoil it for you, Patrick.
I hope not.
I'm not gonna do that. Uh,
Yay!
but I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe depending on how well this movie performs, Suzanne might actually release some more books because I feel like she has more story to tell in this
Oh
one.
yeah, and it's going to perform very well.
Yeah.
Excuse
Oh,
me, at
hold
the
on.
box office. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Hold on. Mm.
Hey everybody.
Oh, no, I was just talking to a friend on the phone.
Yeah. Anyways, for those of you who are just coming in, hi, I'm Patrick Connolly. I have taken over Bookish Babbles. And also, if you guys are interested in any lessons for Connolly's characters, please feel free. I would love
Did
more
you hear any
students.
of that?
I'm sorry, I had to do a shameless plug. It's how it is. That's how I
No,
roll.
no, but you were missing the actual quality content, which was my grandma coming down, being like, "Did you call me?" I'm like, "No," and she's like, "I'm just screaming about a book with a friend," and she's like, "I thought you said Bubba," and I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like, "No," and she's like, "Okay," then heads back up, and I'm like, "Love you," and she goes, "Love me too." Okay, but yeah, shameless plug. Anyway,
Yeah, Connolly's characters. Everybody, go
what
do
were
it.
what were we talking about before? The trailer and how we think there might be more story to tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think maybe like if it's very successful, like Susan Collins will definitely write more stories for it. I mean, I just don't know.
What don't
I
know.
haven't I haven't read the book. So is the book like just one contained story?
Yes, it's very much
Okay.
like a one story that takes place, during the summer of the 10th Hunger Games.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
which,
right.
by the way, this isn't fun fact, and this isn't a spoiler. It's just a cool detail from the book that I'm not sure if they'll, include in the
Yeah.
movie. But Reaping Day always takes place on the 4th of July.
Get out.
Nope, did not learn. We didn't know that until we read Ballad book.
Wow.
I know.
4th of July.
Yeah,
That's a
Reaping Day
true
is the
holiday
4th
right
of
there.
July. So like last year on like the Hunger Games groups that I'm on Facebook during the 4th of July, everyone's like, "Happy." So, anyone know how to make the dress that Lucy wears in the trailer, asking for a friend?
You're asking the wrong person.
See that I thought the design, like, because I'm not a costume designer, I can't picture how clothes will look pretty. I was just the whole time I was reading, I was like struggling to picture what that dress would look like, and I'm just imagining a very bright, very colorful kind of skirt that you would see it that you would see, I don't know, maybe on like a pride parade or something, which all look fantastic, by the way. But I'm like, wow, that really sticks out from this world. But no, the dress they designed for the movie, it sticks out, and obviously it has a lot of colors involved, but still fits well into the world. So hats off to the costume designers for her dress in that one.
Yeah, no, I mean the film itself just looks gorgeous throughout. Like I'm really excited to see it with like the visual style for it. And Francis Lawrence, who directed three of the Hunger Games movies, is coming back to direct it, which is really cool.
Well, he's already directed it. The movie's filmed.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. He directed
Yes, the
he's
trailer.
directed it
Now
and it's
Francis can direct
ready,
it.
but not ready yet. So I mean I'm still trying to like wait
I
a little
know.
bit. But
I know.
no, it's just really cool that he came back to direct it, and it just shows like just how much of of a passion that he does have for the story of the Hunger Games itself. So it's really cool.
And also Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis.
Why not? Yeah, Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis. Like, what an
I
amazing
know.
casting choices.
Like
Seriously.
so good, especially Viola. Listen, this woman is messed up that Viola's playing in the movie. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to be terrified, but I can't wait to see it.
Well, I mean, Viola Davis. I mean, she is known for bringing that's she's known for bringing that sense of like intensity to every single one of her roles, and it's just so brilliant to watch. Also, Rick alumni, baby, let's
Yeah,
go!
a school she'll never go back to, and I don't blame her.
I, well, that's another podcast for another day.
That's another story.
Anyways, so moving
Speaking of,
on
yeah,
to
speaking of Francis Lawrence and his brilliant directing style, something he does in like all the movies, like I mean, all the movies he directs, but especially for Mockingjay, is that because in the Mockingjay book, we only see President Snow, I think one or two times on screen for like the interviews that they watch
yeah.
in District 13, like the interviews they watch of him like on the television, the Capitol, and then the final like conversation in part two, which we'll talk more about when we're talking about Mockingjay
Mhm.
part two, obviously. But like,
Yeah.
but because the book's told from Katniss's point of view, we only see him on screen, and then when she talks to him in the greenhouse, and then obviously the execution. Whereas
Mhm.
the movie, like we get to see his side of things on the war, and more scenes with him. So I'm excited to see again the character work that Francis puts into young Coriolanus in Ballad.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying words.
It
Listen,
life happens.
I am on the phone all day talking to people, and
I get it, man.
it's a bloop. And like my entire phone conversations are just blooper reels half the time. But anyway, so this and like this movie, like I said, does a lot for Snow's character work. But okay, I am curious. Something I want to talk about before I forget to.
Yeah.
Is that I had this experience when I read the books for the first time. Like when Catch Fire ends and it's like there is no District 12 and Katniss seems
Mhm.
fired up and you're like, yes, let's ready for the war, take down the Capitol. And then immediately, like with both the book and the movie, it opens up with Katniss not being the avenging warrior that we were kind of hyped up to believe, especially I feel like
Mhm.
especially in like the marketing of the franchise, which funny enough, I don't really remember what the trailer was or what the marketing was like for Mockingjay Part 1. I feel like after Catching Fire, the marketing had almost stopped, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Katniss, like she like the first scene in the movie is just her in a closet having a panic attack.
I thought when I saw it this afternoon, I thought she was actually outside somewhere, like in like some sort of area, and she was just like kind of curled up, just like holding her legs, just kind of like,
Oh,
I'm Katniss Everdeen, and I don't want to go back and stuff. And it was just like really intense. I don't know if she was outside of a closet,
no,
but
she was definitely still underground in
no, she was
13.
underground. Yeah, for
Yeah, no,
sure.
wait. Might have been a closet. It might have been like a sewer area. I don't know. In the
No,
book,
it looked like a sewer. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
looked
in the book, she was always hiding in closets. So I made many jokes about Katniss being in.
so. So wait, so how did the book begin in comparison to
So
the
the
movie?
book actually begins with Katniss walking around in the ashes of District 12, and we
Oh
kind of get
wow. Okay, so
some exposition of the decision to send her to 12 because she spent like a month kind of hospitalized, obviously because
yeah,
she's very traumatized after surviving
yeah.
a separate.
I mean, I would be too. Like seriously, it's messed up.
Yeah. But like both the book and the movie do not shy away from the reality of yeah, you're going to be fucked up after going through an experience like that,
Mhm.
and you're probably not going to be okay, kids.
Yeah, and the funny thing about the movie itself is, I remember the first time I saw this, which is almost 10 years ago, by the way.
Don't
Oh my
remind me.
god. So I remember the first time seeing this, like throughout the whole film, I was feeling like very tired. And I'm not saying that because I was like bored, because a lot of the classes at Rick have been like just try to like, you know, get stuff out of me and everything, and I just was like, okay, I'm exhausted. I try to focus and try to do things. Um, but also just the tone it takes in this film in comparison to the first two, which the first two, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty grim. I mean, this is a grim reality that people, have to go through, like getting your names called for a game that you are probably going to get murdered for. But this third one, especially like in the first 10-20 minutes, like they let you know right away, it's like, no, we mean business.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, we're not trying to really play around. Like there's a point like in the first half where we are reintroduced to Effie, but she's not in her, typical costume, where she's more like just like everybody else, which I thought was fascinating, which we can dive a little bit into it at some point later on.
Mm-hmm.
Um but basically getting back to what I was saying, like I just remember being so like oppressed watching it, because I just there's this sense of oppression like throughout the whole, at least the whole movie, but especially like the first half of it. And it's just kind of like I don't really feel like there's any room to really breathe. There's almost like no comfort to it, which gives the film much needed atmosphere for what the characters are feeling throughout the moment, which I appreciated a lot. And yet there's still some time for cat humor, which I appreciate. So
Yeah, always time for cat humor. Katniss and Buttercup have the most epic and and well developed relationship in the entire
they
franchise.
do. They do. Like Buttercup and Cat, like they just are so connected to one another, and they just that's
It's
what they're all
great,
about.
but but um but yeah, what you were saying about the tone, it actually does match really well with the book, because Katniss, even at the beginning of the book, she when she's hospitalized, she's labeled as mentally disoriented, so she feels
Yeah.
tired all the time. Even
Yeah.
like there's even moments where she just like when she just runs across a room, she's suddenly very tired. Like
Yeah.
she basically cannot do the things that used to come so easily to her, and it takes her a long time to be able to build that strength back up. And without diving too much into detail, it's a very like fatigue's a very common side effect for someone with depression, and obviously Katniss is depressed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
she has like very little excitement about life, to say the least, all throughout Mockingjay.
well, yeah. I mean, because after you've gone through not one but two Hunger Games that will pretty much traumatize anybody who goes into that games, like yeah, you are going to feel some sort of fatigue and like disorientation throughout.
Yep.
And
And then and then in the movie, like, we're introduced to her, she just gets out of the hospital, and then we start meeting all of the new characters. Like, first we meet Boggs, who is the best, and I know the fandom is always referencing to Haymitch as Katniss's father figure, but I maintain Haymitch is quite
mm,
literally the drunk uncle. Boggs is her real actual like father figure.
okay, so Boggs, correct me if I'm wrong. He's the guy in the wheelchair. Is that
Oh, that's Beatty.
that's Beatty? Okay, I'm trying to
Boggs
remember.
is like the commander, who one of like the top ranking commanders, the bald one who like escorts Katniss everywhere
Oh
throughout.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's like one of my favorite actors too who played him.
I forget the actor's name too. My
Ma
bad.
Mahirsh. Oh my God, I'm
Yeah,
so
look him
sorry,
up.
Academy Award winner Mahershala. Mahershala Ali. I totally messed that up. It's okay. But yeah, no, he's like one of my favorite actors working right now. And it was surprising because I forgot that he was in this movie, so it was just like, oh, this is really cool. So
And then it's kind of same thing with Coin, Julianne Moore.
yeah, Julianne Moore too. Yeah.
Because funny enough, because weirdly, the first time I watched this movie was obviously in theaters, and it wasn't until 2020 that I watched Mockingjay Part One and Two again.
Hmm.
Um, when the world started falling apart, and I
Which
decided,
which kind of is like the perfect movie to watch when you're stuck in isolation, or maybe it's too perfect of a movie to watch.
Yeah, it's just like it's like, oh, stuck in my house, pandemic, and let's not forget how we got some exposition about how at one point in 13 there was an epidemic that wiped out part of the
Yeah,
population.
and a
Totally
president who's and a president of the Capitol who's crazy bananas and thank God we have a better one. But anyways, back to the point.
yeah, anywho, but yeah, Julianne Moore is in this movie, and given how we know where, I mean, I obviously knew where her character was going to go when I saw these movies for the first time, but like, what was your first impression of her throughout when the first time you watched this movie, and like that whole scene where she's interacting with Katniss, she's like checking off all the boxes of how she's supposed to come off as like, comforting, supportive, like this is totally not the Capitol, guys.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've seen Mockingjay Part 2. So I assume from my memory she becomes the actual villain and not Snow in the movie.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
basically eventually going to, it becomes clear as these movies play out that if she's allowed to take power, she will essentially be the next President Snow.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, and she really does play that facade really well in Mockingjay Part 1, because it's like
Which, funny enough, when we first meet young Coriolanus Snow in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, there's like a quote from the book where it says, like, I'm gonna butcher this quote, but it's like, charm was his, what's it called? I forget the word already, and I actually,
Folly? Is
what?
it his folly?
No, not folly. Like, because he's very charming. He's very good at being charming and getting people to like him and be on his side.
Charm was his superpower.
No,
That
not
is
superpower.
it.
Hold on. Hold on.
Don't worry.
I do
Bring
have.
out the book.
Okay, I do have one of my copies here. Hold on. I gotta climb.
According to the rules.
Hold on. I gotta climb over. Baby Yoda. Don't mind me.
Don't you mean Grogu?
Listen. Listen. He was introduced to me as Baby Yoda, and he's forever going to be Baby Yoda. And I just.
Okay, fine. He's Baby Yoda.
Look how cute he is.
He's adorable.
Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, this is the copy I got in Ireland.
There we go. And it's green too, which is perfect.
Wait, I can't find it, but I think it was charm was his currency or something like that. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, that makes better sense.
Anyway, this is wildly.
Although I do like the word superpower.
Yeah, we're getting wildly off topic now, but that's fine. Oh, also, I have.
Well, no, it makes sense though, talking about Snow and like the Hunger Games and. Is that Obi?
Yes, I have a mini squishmallow of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There we go. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. They're just gonna hang out with me for the rest of the episode now. It's fine. Guys, I also just got back from watching Return to the Jedi in theaters, which is very fitting actually, because we're talking about a movie that's about, rebellion, revolution, and obviously Star Wars is big on rebellion. But the original Star Wars trilogy, funny enough, I think, is very much the like kind of, how do I put this, Hollywood way of rebellion, like epic storytelling, got your classic like heroes,
yep.
like it's very clear empire good, empire bad, rebels good.
Yep.
And then thing about the Mockingjay movies, it kind of peels back, how do I put this, the glamour of revolution, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, you definitely get more of like a behind the scenes look on like how people promote rebellion and revolution in some capacity, especially during that scene with Katniss being taped for a revolutionary.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, and then by the way, I also want to give a shout out to Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace. Like he's like one of my favorite actors who ever existed. Movie. And it was his last movie too. I was just like, man, it's just sad. But anyways, he has one of my favorite moments in that scene in particular, where Katniss is trying to say the line, and then Florence is like, this isn't right, this is wrong. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I messed up. And he tried to calm down a little bit.
Like, you've just been in battle. No, I'm sorry. You've just been in battle.
Oh, I should have been calmer that time. I apologize.
It was so good. But yeah, and actually, someone pointed out something really great is that when like kind of comparing Katniss and Lucy Gray, and again, this isn't really a spoiler, but it's like Katniss is or Lucy Gray is what happens when you put a performer in a situation where a hunter would be preferred, and then Katniss's situation where you put a hunter in the position of where a performer would be preferred.
Oh, smart.
So,
That's
haha.
I love that.
Yeah. But oh, also, I just want to say, at the time that these movies were coming out and this book, everyone was shitting on it because it's like, oh, there's no fighting. It's just like who
No,
cares?
I was gonna say I from before I saw the movie, it was considered like the worst of the three
Oh
books.
yeah, and it's like I was like, who cares about propaganda? But now, because we were talking about Star Wars a second ago, with
Yeah,
shows like Andor coming out, people are more interested in
no,
like the grounded realism of Revolution, how the behind the
God.
scenes work. So Mockingjay did it before it was cool.
Yeah, and also just a sidetrack, Andor is a piece of art, so please, everybody who hasn't seen it, watch it. It's so freaking good. But anyways, yeah, you make a good point because the first two Hunger Games, had a lot of like action sequences and everything, whereas Mockingjay Part One, there's some action here and there, but most of it is very much a setting up, trying to take over the capital and everything. And I think that's the stuff that actually does intrigue me a lot because it shows like them going into the ideas of like what to do in order to take down Snow and everybody involved. Also, poor PETA, man.
Oh,
Poor PETA.
my God. Like when I tell, we'll get more into that later.
Oh yeah, we'll get more to that.
We'll get more into that later. But also kind of just going off your point of just seeing all like the behind the scenes stuff, especially with the propaganda. Shout out to Cressida, who was the director. She's grossly underrated and played by
Mm.
the wonderful Natalie Dormer, of course, in the movie.
God, that's a familiar name. Who did she?
She was in Game of Thrones. She was Anne Boleyn in the Tudors series.
Oh, oh, cool.
Yeah, she's the one with like the half shaved head, and she can make that
Yes.
incredible. She's one of the most beautiful humans on the planet. Because if you can
Oh,
make that look,
she was also in Captain America: The First Avenger.
oh yeah, she played the woman who kissed Steve. Was like, come here, big hot shot, and then Peggy walked in and was like, fuck you guys.
and now it's a Marvel podcast.
Podcast. How many fandoms can I reference in one podcast?
It's everything everywhere all at once. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Speaking of which, that's kind of connected. Saw the trailer for the new Indiana Jones movie played right before Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
They also played the trailer for the Guardians movie, and they reminded me that's coming out next weekend.
And also, my emotions are going to be totally obliterated.
Also, while we were still kind of talking about Star Wars, Dave Filoni, if you're listening, if anything happens to Rex in the Ahsoka series, I will not recover. I will absolutely not recover.
We will go to your office at Lucasfilm and we will just take over everything you will do. No, no, Dave, you're great. I love you, man. You're the
No,
best.
what we will do is we will steal his cowboy hat because he definitely holds that deer.
What he thinks he's Woody. Anyways, anyways, going back to Mockingjay.
What is this podcast? I don't know anymore.
It's whatever your heart desires.
Okay, we'll talk about Effie now because we were kind of covering characters
Yeah.
that introduced, and Effie kind of gets a reintroduction in this. So and what's interesting, because I know you've only read the first Hunger Games book, Effie's actually not in the book really.
Oh, really?
He's
Oh.
not in District 13. So what in the book, Plutarch has an assistant who ran away with him from the capital. Her name's Fulvia. She's basically plays Effie's role in the movie, but while they were making Catching Fire, Suzanne Collins just fell in love with Elizabeth Banks' performance, and Effie was super popular, especially with Catching Fire. So Suzanne,
Yeah.
like Francis Lawrence didn't suggest this. Suzanne Collins went to like Francis Lawrence, the production team, and was like, "So Fulvia, who? And Fulvia for this, right?"
And it's like, oh, sure. I mean, you're the one who created the
You know,
universe, so you might as
and like,
well
and I
tell
mean,
us.
Elizabeth Banks like loves these movies. Like she was like she wanted to play Effie as soon as this movie was greenlit, so she was more than happy to do it. And I love so much what they did with her character.
Yeah, like that's Elizabeth Banks' best performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other films that she was in, but I can't think of one performance where like she really just put everything on the table, on the mahogany with this performance.
God. And
Yay!
and um and I think like just the way Effie, because like you said, Effie kind of like is has to wear the same jumpsuit as everyone, but she
Yeah,
still manages to find her own style within
she
that.
has a little bit of like a bracelet
And
on.
the hair
Uh,
piece,
yeah,
like,
a little bit, just a little bit of that.
and this makes me realize that all along Effie does have a rebellious spirit because
Yep.
and she just shows it in her own ways. Like we obviously saw that with Catching Fire, and even in the book, the whole like Effie wanting everyone to have something gold to show that they were a team. That was her subtle way of rebelling against like this is wrong. And now,
Yeah.
and then again through her fashion in 13, she gets to um she finds ways to stand out and be herself, and I love her for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really yeah, that's awesome what she was able to do with that.
And her role also kind of took the place of Katniss's prep team because in the book it's the prep team who get abducted to 13, not Effie. And the
Oh,
prep
okay.
team's kind of non-existent in the movies, but they play a very important role in the book because they show um kind of the quote unquote, like, how do I put this, innocence of most capital citizens who are just so deeply indoctrinated they don't understand how wrong it is, and it takes a lot to pull
Mhm.
back the curtain. And also the prep team, when it's revealed there in 13, it's the first like major red flag of, oh, Coin might not be the best person, because when Katniss finds them, they were in a cell being beat up for stealing a slice of bread.
Yeah, it's like she may be a nicer president than Snow, but she is still a president.
And it also brings out one of the first like big red flags in Gale too, because Gale finds the prep team with Katniss, and Katniss, of course, freaks out and like gets them takes care of them, gets them like her mother to heal them and all that. And afterward, Gale's like, "Why are you so nice to your prep team? They were just like making you pretty for the slaughter or whatever." Like he had zero empathy for the prep team. And I don't know, I was kind of watching Liam Hemsworth performance when Katniss and Gale meet Effie in the cafeteria. And like Gale was like very like Effie was like, very nice toward Gale. She's like, "It's wonderful to see you again," because that's who Effie is. She is
Right, yeah.
polite. She tries to be kind to everyone she meets, and Gale just kind of like you can tell just by watching the performance Liam was given that if Katniss wasn't with them, Gale would just been completely cold shouldering Effie because
Yeah, and
he sees people as the capital as people beneath him.
right. Well, this is also one of the few times where I will probably be a little bit pro Gale in some respects, only because there's a scene where like they're all like the group of people they're all going into District 12, and he's talking about like what he was suffering. Now, was that in the book? Because I feel like in terms of what they did in the movie, like that shows a little bit of empathy towards that character.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I don't know how different it is from the book.
I'm trying to remember because it's been a hot minute, and Mockingjay is the book I've reread the least amount of times for obvious reasons. Because
Yeah.
I get very sad while reading the book. And
I don't blame you.
part two, oh god, part two is gonna.
Oh, but part two, it made me like, Jonathan Lawrence acting is so
My
good.
god,
Throwing
like,
weights at a cat.
we went through the emotional ringer in Mockingjay Part One, but it's like, no, guys, that's just the warm up
But
round.
that's the easy day.
It's like whenever I'm rewatching these movies and I get to Mockingjay Part Two, by the time they're like, in the sewers, I'm like, can we go back to the days where Katniss can't act on a film set, please?
It's just kind of like, the people who saw part one, it's like nothing happened in part one, and then part two is just kind of like, I want nothing to happen in part two.
Can we go back to the days where Finnick is crying and tying knots in his hospital bed, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, also poor Finnick, like Sam Claflin, my god, I wanted to give him a hug every time he was on.
He was really good, man. Like everybody brings so much to the table with this.
Everyone in those movies are just so well cast, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and and that's the thing, like I'm normally not a big fan of like, films that are split into two parts because it just feels like sometimes it's just like it's there because I'm here to make money a little bit. But I will say, like, if you have a cast that is as good as what you see in these Hunger Games movies, like there actually is like some benefit to be like, all right, I can stick around and like just kind of just watch these performances unfold before me, And I mean that's what makes really good cinema, in my
Especially,
opinion.
especially at
Well,
that point, they've been playing these characters for multiple years. They know them so
yeah,
well. You can just be like, okay, guys, you're all having Thanksgiving dinner as your characters. Go.
yeah, no, and also I want to also give a shout out too to Jennifer Lawrence, who which I mean, obviously, she always gets a shout out with every Hunger Games they would do because she is Katniss Everdeen. But like the scene with the places being on fire, and now she's the kind of forced to give a commercial. Everybody, like that scene was just like that's how you do it. That's how you bring out that raw type of energy like to the screen and perform it and just man, I was just astonished. I'm surprised she hasn't been in more stuff recently because I really think that she is one of the best actresses of our generation.
Yeah.
Um, so
But, well, it's because she had to take a break because people got tired of seeing her everywhere because that's what happens when women actresses get too successful. But that's a rant for another day.
that's another podcast for another story.
Take a shot every time
Yeah.
we get off topic and be like another podcast. No, don't do that. Yeah, you won't be okay.
Yeah, seriously though, man, it's crazy.
And
But anyways, yeah, but Jennifer Lawrence is amazing. She is freaking amazing in these movies. Like especially when she throws plates at a cat.
that's not till part two.
I know, but it still haunts me when I first saw it.
Anyway, and it's worse in the book. But anyway, speaking of like Katniss kind of giving that speech and performance because she's then is the Mockingjay. In the move, I talked about how the book, finding the prep team in shambles is the first major like coin red flag, whereas in the movie, the first major coin red flag is when Katniss is like, okay, I'll be your Mockingjay, but here are my conditions, and it's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to fully pardon the tributes who were kidnapped, being tortured, and probably forced to say things against their will. Don't hold them accountable to anything that they say on TV. And Coin's like,
And then she said no. I don't know about that.
how about no? We'll have a tribunal and everything. So it'll be totally fair after the war, guys. That's exactly how she talked. And then, of course, at least apparently they didn't give her much trouble about wanting to keep the cat. So at least there's that.
See, she's a cat person, which we always appreciate about President Coin. But
yeah. And like Effie said, what could use a revolution is her hair.
that was also a great line. I forgot about that. There's some really like little good lines here and there that just was like, man, that actually really added something to it.
God damn, I love Effie. Also, any scene she and Haymitch had together, just perfect.
Oh my, both of them together, like Woody Harrelson and
Oh, he fully admitted that he had a crush on Elizabeth Banks while they were making those movies.
Oh my god.
and spoiler alert, they improvised that little kiss that happens in Mockingjay Part 2.
Oh, I need to rewatch Mockingjay Part 2, which I'll probably get a
Yeah,
chance to
you're
do
gonna
that.
have to. You have to anyway. You have no choice.
I have to be a completionist. That's how it is. That's how it works.
Listen, I'm not giving you a choice. You have to rewatch it again. If I have to continuously emotionally suffer, you have to do it with me.
We gotta do it. We gotta complete the suffering. So that's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
Yep.
Like, what's that bit Kevin Hart says? It's like, you're my friend. My bullshit's your bullshit.
Pretty much.
That's how this goes.
That's how the story goes. I think
Okay.
that's a song somewhere. I don't know.
That's how the story goes. Wait, is that from season?
I don't. I think I just made it up. Honestly, I don't even know.
There was a song at the end of the first season of a series of unfortunate events that was something like "That's not how the story goes." I
Oh
could,
wow.
I could be. That could have been a fever dream. I don't know. Then again, I thought Roly Poly Oly was a fever dream for the longest time. Turns out it was an actual show.
But you have to be honest. It was the best fever dream of all time. Yeah.
Listen, I don't
It's roly freaking poly oly. It's
I
Playhouse.
barely remember, except I think they lived in a teapot house.
Yes, they did, and they had the teapot house had eyes. Every single thing in that house had eyes. It could kind of move a little bit.
Was it supposed to be like creepy enchanted castle? Like what was
much.
happening? Okay, cool. And yet
Pretty much.
maybe that's why I'm just scared of everything as
Well, in other words, it was Beauty and the Beast for kids. So actually Beauty and the Beast is for kids.
it's for kids.
Beauty and the Beast is for everybody.
Beauty and the Beast is somehow less traumatizing than Roly Poly Oly.
I don't know how that works because I mean I remember being traumatized by the Beast as a kid. So I'm like.
Listen, I was scared of the Beast as a kid, but then he gave her a library, so I forgave him for
that is true. That is he lost some scary points.
my library.
Yeah, is that real?
Yeah, no, this is
Oh, yeah, I thought you were like had a background.
for whatever reason the green screen effect doesn't work on my computer for Zoom. So no, this is real.
Oh, it's real. That's cool.
Yeah. And back there, I don't know if you can see it, but behind the yellow chair, there's all my Star Wars books.
Yes.
Just to make sure everyone knows I'm a nerd, I have an entire shelf of Star Wars books.
Wait, what's a Star Wars?
Don't make Grogu come for you.
What's Grogu? Hey, you said Grogu. Wait a minute. You said Grogu, not Baby Yoda. Anyway, let's go back to Hunger Games.
You will forget that I called him Grogu.
Who?
Anyway, so yes, the everyone in the movie is just fantastic. Also, I want to give speaking of like actors doing an amazing job, I want to give a shout out to all the extras who were doing performances in the scene, like in District 7, when the workers like climbed all those trees and attacked the peacekeepers.
Yeah. Wait, what was that line that they said? It's like,
if we burn, you burn with us, because they
were with us, and then that happens. Like, yeah, that was so hardcore. Love that.
Because that was like, because to show like, because like in the book, everything we see everything from Katniss's point of view. We see everything she does, but we don't get to see what is happening as a result of her doing these propos. The movie did such a good job of showing like how good she is at inspiring everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and especially we gotta talk about probably the best scene for me in that entire film.
Oh, the hanging scene?
Yeah, that I still remember the first time I saw that. I was like, well, first of all, I know the song is very dark and depressing, but it has such a great beat and such a great like sound to it, and it's so catchy. But also it's like insanely powerful to like what it's trying to represent for the revolution that it inspires. And you know that it's a song that I kind of sometimes kind of march to a little bit, like trying to like go to work and everything, or whenever I have to do stuff that I don't want to do. But it's like
for two things. One, I really can't wait for you to see Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and that's all I'll say on that. Two,
well, because it's kind of a musical, isn't it? Like, because Rachel Zegler is a singer in the show.
But also, just the way like when Jennifer, like you hear Jennifer Lawrence singing, and then as soon as the crowd starts joining her, that's when I
yes. I was like, it's a cinema, baby.
And just how like all of them are just in a state of I got no shits left to give. Like they just keep going. Like They just keep going. Like all that matters is them making sure the dam gets blown up.
Well, also, most of the movie takes place under a bunker where like everybody's in like District 13. So whenever you have those scenes where they're outside, like it somehow feels like grander and it feels more cinematic and it gives you that feeling of like, wow, like this is like a big deal. This is huge. Um, and
It's
and yeah,
not.
also this is a random side note, but the when the little chorus started saying like, are you
Oh yeah.
coming to the like when that happened, it sounded a little bit like a Wes Anderson film to me. It kind of was just like, wait, is this Moonrise Kingdom catching fire a little bit?
Oh my god. It's like who let Wes Anderson direct a scene?
It was like, wait, Wes, what are you doing here? Alexander Desplat, what are you doing here, man? Don't do this.
Also,
And yeah, the music too. James Newton Howard, dude. Once again, dude. Bravo, bravo.
also that one music, the music that was played in the first movie when after Rue died.
Yes, yeah. When they're going up the stairs.
Yeah, and then like the music and that music, anytime it comes up, like when Katniss is in District 8 in the hospital and she's like, I will, and everyone does a 3-finger salute. I don't care how cheesy it is, if you put that music to it, I'll cry.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful moment.
Hmm. And oh, also, fun fact, the where the district where the dam is, that's in District 5. So there's a good chance Foxface's family was part of that.
Who?
Foxface, she was a redhead girl in the first movie who ate the poison berries.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She does. Yeah, her character's a little more expanded in the book, but she's one of the coolest characters that we never hear talk. And
That
whose
happens.
actual name we don't learn because Katniss in her head just calls her Foxface. Although I although the fandom's adopted the name Finch for her for some reason. I don't know why, but that happened.
Finch? That's an interesting name.
I think in one of the like when they did a dub versions, maybe for the Italian version when they did dub, I think it named her Finch for some reason. So the fandom just kind of we all collectively started calling Foxface like for Finch for like fan fiction purposes.
Yeah, I mean, Finch, Foxface, whatever you want to call her. I mean, as long as she's okay with both of those names, that is totally fine by me.
Also, it's raining outside. There's not, so if you guys hear that background noise, nothing.
It's intensely raining right
Yeah, nothing I can do about Mother Nature, unfortunately.
now. It's probably the tears from watching Mockingjay Part 2.
It's all the emotions that we'll be feeling when we all talk about
She throws plates at a cat.
We're not there yet. We don't have to talk about it.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna always. That's the running gag tonight.
Christ. Anyway, where were we going with this? I don't know.
You were talking about Foxface and Finch.
Yeah, and then that scene with the hanging tree, just like the song is so fucking chilling. It's great.
It's like when it first starts and then kind of just grows with the chorus coming in. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, and like I realized so that whole thing started like Katniss singing was because Pollux wanted her to sing. And by the way, this is like the first time in the movies that we get an Avox character, because in the book we got an Avox character because it was a girl Katniss saw in the forest be abducted by the hovercraft, but she's not a character in the movie. So Pollux in the movie for movie viewers is the first time we meet an Avox.
hmm.
and and yeah, it's still disturbing the way they just casually cut out people's tongues.
Coming to the truth.
Yeah.
And
And also Pollux, another underrated character, by the way.
he is.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, in the book, and I know you would know this because you haven't read the book, Patrick, but we actually learn the Avox girl that Katniss knew who was like serving her in the tribute center. We actually learn her name. Her name's Lavinia.
Oh, Lavinia, nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice name.
She also dies, but
Yeah, it's the Hungry Games. Uh,
Yeah,
it's sad like that.
yeah, she was tortured to death after Katniss was rescued from the arena, like you do.
Mm, sad.
Yeah, Peter got to watch that happen too, by the way.
Oh man, are we ready to dive into what they do with PETA in this?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm
So
stable.
I rewatched it this afternoon, and kind of watching him and his interviews and just seeing that kind of like get a little bit more vulnerable. I was just like, there's something off of this guy. And then the minute that he comes back and then he starts choking Katniss and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, we know there's something that happened in the Capitol. Like there's and that last shot of him on the bed going crazy and everything. It's like
Yeah. Okay.
truth. There it is.
We'll
It's
talk, we'll
like
talk about that last scene in just a moment, in a little bit, but just it's so much worse in the book after their rescue, because actually in the book we don't see the rescue play out like that in real time. They obviously added that for the movie. Katniss doesn't get on air and go, "Hey, President Snow, you there? I want to catch up. Hello."
also that wasn't in the book.
So so Katniss and Finnick, in the book, they pre-film some propos that Beatty's gonna play while the rescue
Yeah.
mission is happening, and that's when we learn Finnick. We learn about what happened to Finnick after he won the games, and
Yeah.
how he was exploited for the capital and forced into prostitution, to say the least. Which, by the way, I kind of overall, Prince Lawrence does a really good job adapting Mockingjay. But what I hate was the choice of when we get the propo where that's happening side by side with the rescue mission of Finnick distracting everyone by spilling the tea on Snow, to say the least.
Yeah.
What I hate is when he says the line, "President Snow used to sell me, or my body at least," and during that shot, it's not focused on Finnick. For some reason, we're focused on Coin.
And so that doesn't make sense in the long
Yeah,
run.
I'm like, I was like, hello, did we just kind of gloss over that movie? Like,
Francis? No.
oh, who are the editors?
Editors?
Editors, I hate
Good
that.
lord.
Yeah. Like, thanks, I hated it. Because I don't know, I just feel like that deserves a little bit more gravity and
Yeah.
focus, especially because even in the book they outright say that had Katniss, not been a problem that Snow would want to make go away, combined with the fact that she was publicly with PETA and they were the
Yeah.
beloved star-crossed lovers, had she not had those things to protect her, that very likely would have happened to Katniss. Yep. And mm, and so that's why I'm like, and plus, like, how often do we get stories where, a sexual assault happens to a male character and the story is treated with respect and with the gravity it deserves?
I
So
think
so
zero.
it's an opportunity.
I'm trying to. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely stories out there that I don't know about in like cinema or movies, but like I just at least in like mainstream, like at least in terms of like getting it right and stuff, and not trying to offend in anything. Like it's just zip, zip. Not even know. Yeah,
Because Suzanne Collins, she's just so good in all her books about
yeah.
not talking down to you about it, if that makes sense, and managing to treat stories with the respect they deserve.
It's
So
the respect, the intelligence that they bring to the storytelling. I mean, that's what it's all about, and that's something that I found very refreshing, especially after the Twilight phase, where it didn't really care about story or character or understanding of themes. It just was kind of like it's just there. It's a kind of its own world, its own thing. But it didn't have like the Hunger Games treatment where it was like, oh, we're actually gonna treat our audience with respect because that's what they deserve.
yeah,
And
they 100% respected the Twilight fans by by adapting things perfectly from the books.
that's a good point, actually.
No, actually, the people who did not treat Twilight fans with respect, and I can say this as someone who was a teenage girl during the heyday of
Yeah.
Twilight, was just the general public. And
Mhm.
even with the Hunger Games franchise, like we I felt like teenage girls were just not treated with as much respect,
Right.
especially with the way
Yeah.
they were again marketing the love triangle with these movies. So
Which that isn't really. I mean, it's kind of a subplot, but that's not the main focus of the story.
yeah,
The
and
main. Yeah.
we'll definitely talk more about it in Mockingjay Part 2, but especially since
Yeah.
the love triangle is to Candace's choice, not just like it's supposed to
Yeah.
symbolize who her love interest is, but what kind of life she wants to have and what these boys would represent for her future.
No,
We'll get more into
absolutely.
that. We'll get more into that in part 2, especially because Gail already showing off massive red flags throughout this
Yeah,
whole.
I thought he had a little bit of empathy in Mockingjay Part 1, but Mockingjay Part 2.
Even in part 1, when the second time that you see Peeta on screen for an interview and he looks so much worse, Katniss is like, "Oh shit, what are they doing to him?" And Gail's being all like, "He's a coward. I wouldn't say this."
Yeah, no, yeah, that scene in particular, I was like, you had empathy before, and now you're just kind of like, nah, nah.
Again, Gale sees the world very black and white, and he sees as anyone who is capital or capital sympathizing as someone who is beneath him. And even in like the last shot we have of him in this movie when Coin is giving that speech, he's like looking up to her. This is his new idol.
Yeah.
And it's like, so just with that in mind, especially since, a Coin is obviously on it, if she's allowed to, would be the next President Snow. I
Yeah.
believe I believe like wholeheartedly that had Gale been like born in the capital, he would be, pro capital.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I would say like anybody in that is born in the capital would have to be pro capital.
But
I mean, unless people
especially
decide,
Gale.
especially Gail. Yeah.
Because like Cressida was born in the capital and she's a rebel. Um Plutarch, again, capital elite. By the way, one of the like halls in at the school in the academy in Ballad of Songbirds and Snake is called Heavensby Hall. So Plutarch's family has a long history of being in the capital elite, and even
Mm,
Plutarch became a rebel at some point, despite all that privilege.
yeah.
Mhm. Which, by the way, I don't know why, but in the book, Plutarch, despite all the good he does, annoyed the hell out of me. Only thing that more often made me actually like and respect his character. So
There you go.
that's the power of a good actor, guys.
Dude, that's the power of Phyllis Seymour Hoffman
Exactly.
because
And,
he could just do everything.
yep. And brain went brain went blank. System rebooting. Try again later.
Reboot, reboot, reboot.
Ay, ay, ay. Like honestly, like whatever 3PO in the Star Wars movies, like I would like to shut down for a minute, please. I'm like, same 3PO,
It's
same.
so great to be with friends.
I don't I don't care what anyone says. Rise of Skywalker is a comfort movie for me.
Hey, whatever works for you, you know.
Anyway, before the internet explodes, before the
What? You like the Rise of Skywalker? How dare you? No, that's no.
before the fanboys somehow find me. Seriously, I once said in a TikTok video that I liked Rey's lightsaber, the yellow lightsaber she gets at the end of Rise of
It
Skywalker.
looks cool. Yeah, looks neat.
I didn't even say anything else about the movie. All I said was I liked the lightsaber, and people started flipping their shit. I'm like, dang.
You liked a lightsaber that was created for a movie intended for children and children at heart? Oh my god!
I know.
That's pretty much.
I know.
That's
How
that's how
dare
they
I
feel.
get emotionally attached to a character that is about my age, being interacting and being mentored by the other characters I grew up loving.
Out there. Like I said, I mean, we could do a field day with Star Wars and everything, and like,
One day in like 50 years when I'm done talking about all my favorite books, which will actually never because I keep finding new favorite books. I'll just be
yeah.
doing a Star Wars podcast and people will still be arguing in comment sections about The Last Jedi.
Oh, They need to stop. Okay, they listen. I understand. Star Wars is Star Wars. There's a lot of Star Wars. I get it. You people need to stop complaining about the Last Jedi. Okay, like the Last Jedi is a straight up masterpiece. Okay,
Patrick, it ruined my childhood.
I'm gonna ruin my childhood. It's like, no, it made the childhood even better because it allowed more people to get into Star Wars. It
But
made
Patrick,
people
the
love
main
it.
character is a girl, and she's
I
American.
don't care.
You know who else is a
you,
main
you need,
character?
but you don't understand. What about Snoke? I mean, that was like one of the coolest scenes of the whole movie. You people there.
Wait, sorry, your audio went in and out for a second. Can you start
No,
over?
no, I was saying like the scene where Snoke gets cut in half by Kylo Ren,
Oh, I
and
thought
you
you said
realize Snoke's not going to be in it anymore. It's like that was a cool scene. I like that scene.
that was the scene was cool as hell. Anyway,
Hunger Games.
no, Donald Sutherland's performance.
Oh yeah, he's always terrifying.
It's the things we love most that destroy us.
And then the smile that destroy us.
Yeah, and then
Cut it off. And I'm like, oh god.
and that's the line they used to close out the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes trailer. So
That's right. Yeah. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh yeah. That's
it's like
smart.
there's layers to this. Also, just knowing everything I do about Ballad, it was funny anytime I'm watching a scene with Snow and when he talks about Katniss, blah blah blah. I'm just like, you're projecting.
Go back to jail.
It's like sorry. It's like sorry, you're still not over, Lucy. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for that to come out, man. That's gonna be so much fun.
And actually, I won't say what. Actually, there. Once like the movie's out and you're aware of all the spoilers, there's a lot of parallels I can draw between Snow and Gale. Speaking of, all the red flags.
We have to get Gabby on this.
That's okay. That's what me and Gabby are for. Hating and pointing out red flags in men.
Good for you guys. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah, because listen, I had a massive crush on specifically Revenge of the Sith Anakin when I was 10.
Yeah. No, wait, I told you that I met Hayden Christensen, right?
What?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I met him at Comic-Con back in 2016, maybe 2018. I don't know.
Sorry,
exactly.
what?
No, he's great. I have a theory that when I shook his hand, like that was the good luck that rubbed off him when he did Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Also, poor Obi-Wan, I just threw him across the room. So
what?
Sorry.
You heard him? Oh yeah, and also Ian McDermott too. He's nice. Also, Ewan McGregor. No, I didn't meet Ewan McGregor yet. Never mind.
No, that's why I would just throw this at the camera. Okay.
Hunger Games.
Yes. Yeah. So Snow is a very fucked up guy, and it was so interesting to see, like, some more scenes with him, his side of it, and like also his that's moment with his granddaughters, like that where he's saying all symbols of the Mockingjay, are legal, and she immediately starts unbraiding her hair.
Yeah, I remember that scene too. I was just like, it's all legal, and then she starts doing that, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's.
And it's so interesting because, like, it had to have been driving Snow absolutely crazy that his own granddaughter was just so
well, that's
looking up to Katniss.
That's also what you can do with film, because a lot of I mean, there's obviously a lot you could draw from books, but sometimes like you have to kind of go your own way into presenting a story in a different medium, and like the way that was shot was like, oh yeah, that could only be done with film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously words were in the I don't even know if it was in the script. Maybe it was just an acting choice. I don't know, but
I mean, it could have been like in the script that would have been a thing. Maybe they came up with it on the day. We don't know.
Yeah.
But Also, it's just the fact that again, because when Suzanne Collins wrote the books, like us, like first world country America, we're supposed to
Yeah.
be the capital. And again, and when all those movies were coming out, like we were all wearing Katniss braids. Like I braided my hair for weeks after seeing the first movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how a rebellion starts
Mhm.
with the Hunger Games and everything.
And people wonder why Gen Z protests all the time when the Hunger Games
Well, I
were.
mean, yeah. Why wouldn't they at this point? Yeah, there's a lot
In
of
my
crap
middle
going
school, in my middle school years, that's when the Twilight movies were coming out, which is why I developed unhealthy boundaries. And
on. I'm sorry.
listen, between having a crush on Revenge of the Sith, Anakin Skywalker, and then Edward Cullen, that's where I turned out the way I did.
There you go.
I'm willing to call out younger me for having questionable taste in fictional men.
Well, yeah, I mean, the younger you look at the younger version of yourself in the mirror, like you just kind of like, you know what? You were cool back then. I'm okay who I am now. So
Yeah, it's like it's gonna be okay, sweetie. It's
yeah.
gonna be okay. Also stay away from straight theater boys. No offense, Patrick.
Well, it happens. I mean, honestly, it's like you guys are not wrong. It is very clearly an issue that is happening.
Specifically tenors. Don't trust tenors.
Santa Fe. Wait, sorry, what?
I hate you. Anyway.
But oh, by the way, congratulations to everybody who got called back in my community theater production of Newsies. You guys are amazing. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great summer. So,
Hey, Baby Yoda is clapping.
and then Baby Yoda's like, yay!
Yay! But yeah, I think I meant to bring this up a while ago when we were first talking about PETA, but I completely forgot because we went off the rails, as we usually do.
Well, this was a very off the rails experience, and for a movie like Mockingjay Part One, which I consider, I'll be honest, I'll consider it to be like kind of my least favorite of the Hunger Games. This has been like the most we've gotten out for talking about it. So I mean, that gotta count for something. Gotta count for something for
Yeah.
Mockingjay Part One.
Actually, if I think like I never would have thought this like 5 years ago, but now I think Mockingjay Part One might be my second favorite movie in the
Oh
series.
wow!
We'll see what happens when Ballad comes out, but as of right now, where it stands, this is my second favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I will say like Mockingjay Part One, like there's a lot to admire and a lot to appreciate from a filmmaking standpoint. The only one of the only things that I was a little bothered by was near the very end, like during the rescue, like there are shots where like you have a hovercraft going out in the darkness, and then there's just like a red light. You notice it, and it's just kind of like, I mean, I understand it's nighttime. I mean, I guess it's not trying to like do anything, but it's
Yeah,
like I'm a movie guy. I mean, obviously,
I know. That's why I have you on because we need the movie perspective.
that's what I'm here for.
Because I'm obviously very book biased, as you can tell from my background.
You like books?
Yeah, no, these are just decorations. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Very Christmassy.
I also, it's over there. I don't know if you can see it, but I bought a typewriter too. So,
Oh, nice, cool. Awesome.
so yeah, I like books. I like literature. Clearly,
Yeah, that's good.
it's not like I got a whole degree in it
Yeah,
that
I
I'm
understand.
putting to use by having a podcast where I scream and cry over fictional characters.
Yeah, that's perfect. There you go. That's how you.
Oh, actually, let's kind of use my degree to put my degree to at least a little bit of use right now, because I was thinking about this while watching Return of the Jedi in theaters, so it's relevant. Like the chosen one trope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing, and again, we can dive more into this with Mockingjay Part Two. I love how this
Yeah.
movie kind of takes the chosen one trope and kind of turns it on its heels a little bit because with movies like actually even in Return of the Jedi they take the chosen one trope, especially at the time when all we had was the original trilogy. They kind of turned the chosen one trope on its head a little bit, because in like the A New Hope, Luke is very obviously set up to be our chosen one hero, and then obviously in the prequels, Anakin is called the chosen one, and he is, but he goes down the anti-hero path and then comes back and becomes the hero. But Luke, who's framed as the traditional chosen one archetype, throws down his lightsaber at the end and is not the actual, and is revealed to not actually be the chosen one, because Anakin still has to is the and winds up being the one to take the final blow to kill the Emperor, even though he was framed as the big bad guy. And in this case, with Mockingjay, Katniss is the chosen one, except it wasn't a prophecy or a magical force that chose her. It was literally the people who chose her.
Yeah, and that's what makes it more relevant to like human society, because it's like that's what it's really all about, in terms of the chosen narrative.
And so many chosen one narratives are very much like this one specific special person can do this. Without them, the whole thing falls apart. Katniss, she does play a significant role. She helps bring everyone together, but in the end, it is like this collective community that is the reason that this government is overthrown, and we'll get more into that in part 2, obviously. But I love how the seeds are planted for that, because while Katniss is making these propagandas to inspire everyone, we get to see everyone doing the actual groundwork.
And also she's very aware that even though she is considered the chosen one, she is also very much a person. She's very much somebody who is like, yeah, I may be considered that, but I'm still like going through things in life like that make very relatable and very vulnerable.
Also, can
Which,
we talk? I love because I was really paying attention to it this time around. I really love what they do with Prim in this movie specifically.
yeah,
How she steps up into being more of a caretaker role, because at this point, like in the book, Prim is 13. She's only a couple years older from when Katniss was, when their father died, and Katniss kind of had to take over the family and kind of step up more. Prim is now doing what Katniss did, stepping up, being there for Katniss more,
yeah.
and kind of being a little bit more of an being a little bit more of an adult. And also, I love what they did with her hairstyle choices, because throughout this movie, Prim's hair was either in a braid like Katniss, or was in a bun that was kind of a similar style to what Katniss wore for the Reaping in the first movie.
Yeah, and also just Will Shields as particular as an actress, she is absolutely brilliant, and what she brought to um
And I understand rescuing the cat. I would too. I would go back for my dog.
you know, that's the thing. The thing is, like, you would, in that circumstance, I love cats, you know me. But like going back upstairs when the doors are probably gonna close and stuff, it's like I don't know if I can go back, but I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Buttercup is a cat. You have to save cats.
Yeah, no, I would. My dad would probably try to stop me, but I would go back for Ray in this situation.
Ray, come back!
Yeah, I would go back for that little demon.
That little demon, Barbara Fleet Street. Oh, we're going into musical territory now. Yay! It's
A musical
it's
podcast.
everything.
Speaking of which, anyone got tickets for Sweeney Todd they want to give me?
Please, please, I want to go. I want to see it.
And if anyone's casting for Joanna, hit me up.
Tommy Kale, you know where to find us.
It's like, yeah, my Instagram's in the bio. You know where to find me.
Yeah, but anyways, Hunger Games, and I think we can start talking about Peeta as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, he's only in it for like about 10 minutes or 15 minutes in this first part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But every scene that he's in, like, you just know, you can tell, like, he is going through it.
Josh Hutcherson even said in interviews, like, this was the arc for Peeta he was looking forward to do the most.
Yeah, and he really brought his A game to that part, to that performance.
And the reunion is so much more painful too in the book, by the way, because I think it did come across really well with Jennifer Lawrence's performance, obviously.
Yeah.
Because Jennifer
And
Lawrence.
and also James Newton Howard's score as well, like just the little piano notes, like when she sees Peta again for the first time in a long time. I just thought like that those piano notes
Yeah.
it always grabs me for some reason. It's lovable,
And then, but
lovely.
like in the book, she's in her head, and when she hears that Peta's there, she's actually giddy. Like, when is Katniss ever giddy? Like, she's just so unbelievably excited to see Peta. Like, I think she was smiling. Like, she was
Yeah,
fully ready to embrace him and to really start embracing her feelings for him. And then it's like so like exciting. And then it's like you see the reunion between Finnick and Annie, which is like that's the kind of reunion we're getting excited for to see Katniss have. And then it's just
it's just taken away from her in a
yeah.
way.
And like all the and then like, oh look, another traumatic event. Add it to the list. And again, because it goes back to Snow's line where he says it's the things we love most that destroy us. It's like, you cruel son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. You may be named Snow, but you're full of lava.
Yes. Well, he's snow, but you know what melts snow? Fire.
Fire, me.
Uh,
That's not fire.
yep. And also just that again, kind of going back to that final scene that we have with Peta in the hospital bed and the way Katniss like
Mhm.
looks for him. Like that's intercut with the speech Coin is giving. And I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just remember the first time I watched that scene, especially in theaters, just having this sense of dread. Like I just felt so
Mm.
anxious. Every time I watch that scene, I just feel anxious. And I'm not entirely sure how to put it, but it's something about the way that Coin is giving like, this very much like how do I put this? Checking off the box check marks, checking the
Yeah,
box
the check
of like
marks. Yeah.
of like us an inspiring like revolutionary type of speech, and you even see like Plutarch mouthing the words, and Effie kind of looks at him like what the fuck, as that's happening, and Gale like again he's looking up at Coin like she's sliced bread or whatever,
Yeah.
and then that's intercut and like and that's intercut with like the grim realities that's happening with Katniss seeing Peta because Coin's going on about how look at us, we've liberated the victors, it's so great, la da 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 da, which is feels very propagandic. Um,
Well, also like after her speech, when everybody just goes "ooh rah, ooh rah, ooh rah," and then you just see Peta just totally like going nuts in the bed, and just the ooh rah, just that combination of that sound along with that image is like, wow,
um,
that's what cinema can do.
I
That's
like
what.
that final image of like Peta losing it in the hospital bed. And you see like Katniss's reflection like in it too, like over him.
Oh yes, yeah, that last shot.
Also, like I think like what I said out loud when I was after Coin speech and everyone going hoorah hoorah and the way the music was playing it was framed. I'm just like I'm just like, is this a cult? This is a cult, guys. We're in a
Yeah,
cult
yeah,
one.
it's real. It's unfortunate. It's an
Mhm.
unfortunate thing.
I mean that's what some people say about theater. What? Who said that?
The theater? What? Being a cult? What? I had no idea.
I mean, we both watched Catherine Steele YouTube.
No, we do. I haven't watched her videos in a while. I don't know if she's uploaded as many things
She did.
recently.
She took a few months of hiatus because life was happening, but
Yeah.
I think she posted a couple new videos recently, and she's like, "Hey guys, I'm back. I'm alive. How you doing?"
So welcome to the musical theater internet cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
First we took over Broadway, and then the world.
And then the world. Did I tell you like I think I saw Catherine Steele
Oh, you
over at
did, and you rubbed it in my face after that.
Stars in the Alley. Yeah, she was like, "Oh yeah, she's over there. Hey, Catherine, what's up?" Yeah.
You were like,
By the way, Catherine, this is a shout out to you. You are amazing, awesome, wherever you are.
yeah.
Stay cool. I don't know.
Yep, and we're all rooting for you to play every single one of your dream roles.
Pretty much, yeah.
Exactly. But no, is there anything else I wanted to say about this movie?
Yeah,
Because
I feel like we covered
We've been
quite a lot of things for
and
this.
I have multiple text messages from Sarah.
Oh,
Poor Sarah. Like, sorry, Patrick and I were screaming about Mockingjay and other fandoms. Don't ask how that became relevant, but it did somehow.
yeah. No, honestly, like this kind of podcast setup and stuff, it kind of inspires me to kind of start up something involving like a movie podcast of some sort, maybe movie theater. So I will keep you at Star Wars, of course. Um,
You want
and
someone
I'll
if you want someone who's angry, who gets angry easily about the Phantom of the Opera movie.
there's so many options. The possibilities are endless at this point. But yeah, we'll see.
Yep. And if you ever want someone to just go on an unhinged rant about how the Phantom of the Opera is actually a horror story, not a love story, I'm your girl.
Oh yeah, it's a horror story.
Hmm.
It is also raining like crazy right now.
I know it's rough. Like there's nothing I can do to edit out the sound for the raining, so I'm so sorry to everyone listening.
I
But
think
yeah,
the listeners think of it as ambient noise.
yeah, ambiance. It adds ambiance to the whole thing.
Ambience.
Yep, you're getting real snippets of what my everyday life is like sometimes.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, we should probably wrap this up because there's probably much more we could say about this movie. Because I swear, every time I rewatch these movies or reread these books, there's another layer that I discover.
Yeah, no, and like having these conversations about this movie, like kind of like makes me appreciate this. Not even just Mockingjay Part One, but also just this franchise even more, and just trying to like go deep and it gets me even more excited about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So it's pretty exciting. So.
Oh yeah, and I'll be insufferable when that movie comes out. Just saying.
Well, yeah, don't apologize for the person you're going to become.
Yeah. I've warned my friends, my family, my coworkers. Like they all have to put up with me in November.
And they're just going to have to deal with it.
This one of my coworkers who's like one desk away from me. We were talking about the Hunger Games, and she was saying like, I don't want to watch a movie about President Snow. He's the bad guy or whatever. And then she watched the trailer and she's like, okay, fine, maybe I'll watch it.
It's like, how dare! That's right. You ate some crow
Guys,
today.
I'm indoctrinating another one into this cult. I mean, fan.
Yeah. No. Whatever you can get, people. Whatever you can get. Yeah. Whatever. It's
Oh,
awesome.
by the way, speaking of algorithms, I feel like I'm not very qualified to talk about this, or not algorithms, allegories. A good allegory for this series that I haven't really touched on this podcast, but is very relevant is that the way the victors are treated can symbolize how veterans are treated in the United States. So just think about that for a minute.
Wow.
Just think, but they get drafted for war in the
Yep.
region, and then they're not helped with their health, like mental or physical, really at all afterward, because the VA system is very, very problematic in present day United States.
Yep.
And but then the government, especially, I was thinking about this a lot watching in part one, the government's happy to take these, war heroes, victors, mainly Katniss, and just prop them up. But then we'll see toward the end of Mockingjay part two, but then happy to dispose of them when they're no longer
They're
useful.
no longer valuable.
Hmm.
And
So
I say, when I say valuable, I mean quotes valuable, because every single person in the world that is trying to do some sort of good in life is valuable.
exactly.
They are
Oh, life
like
form.
like
Yeah.
Grogu.
Yep.
Grogu is valuable.
Especially if you're a baby Yoda, then you're extra valuable.
They're extra valuable. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yep. And on that note, let's wrap this shit up. Cause
Alrighty.
righty then. Well, Patrick, I know you kind of plugged yourself earlier, but people know where to find you.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Patrick T. Connolly. Also, I do virtual one-on-one acting through song lessons at Connolly's Character. So if you'd like to sign up, just DM me and we can schedule you in. It's I have an Instagram page at act.createinspiresing. So yeah, if Grogu wants to be scheduled for a lesson at some point, feel free.
And watch and you can all watch him in The Mandalorian too.
Yeah, go watch The Mandalorian. Do it.
And all my socials are in the show notes: Instagram, the YouTube channel, TikTok for as long as it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the social medias I have. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope I to this chaotic episode. Then again, just about every episode's
See,
chaotic.
that's what makes it the best, though. Like all the chaos that could happen.
I'll talk to you guys next time about something. Maybe it'll be Mockingjay. I'm just kind of prolonging the end of talking about the Hunger Games series because that's all I've been talking about for like 50 something episodes. So it feels weird to not be. It will feel weird when I move on to the next book series that I talk about. But anyway, thank you again, Patrick,
Yeah, of course. This was a blast, as always.
and everyone. Hope y'all have a great day/night, and I'll talk to you next time, whenever that is. Bye.
All right, see ya.
Bye.